The hook of the rod sliced through the air like a confession I couldn't take back, embedding itself in the water with a splash that echoed my pounding heart. You ever wonder what it's like to cast a line and never reel it in? Nathaniel's voice rumbled low, his eyes locking onto mine from across the boat, dark and unreadable in the pre-dawn fog. I swallowed hard, the oars forgotten in my lap, because in that moment, with the lake lapping at our hull like a lover's whisper, I knew this trip wasn't about fish at all. It started innocently enough, the way these things always do in small-town Oregon, where the rain-slicked streets of Astoria blur into the endless green of the coastal range. I was 24, fresh out of community college with a half-baked graphic design degree and a bartending gig that paid just enough to keep my beat-up Subaru running. Adam was my best friend since high school. Loud, loyal, the kind of guy who dragged you to dive bars for cheap IPAs and bad karaoke. We'd bonded over shared misery, divorced parents, dead-end dreams, and that quiet ache of knowing you didn't quite fit the mold of the flannel-wearing, truck-driving locals. That summer, Adam's family invited me up to their cabin on Crater Lake. "Uncle Nate's coming too," Adam said over burgers at the Rusty Anchor, grease dripping onto the scarred wooden table. "He's a beast on the water, catches more trout than God himself." I nodded, picturing some grizzled ex-logger with a beer gut and stories about Nom. But when we pulled up to the gravel drive that Friday, gravel crunching under tires like brittle bones, the man stepping out onto the porch wasn't what I'd imagined. Nathaniel Hayes was 42, built like he'd been carved from the Douglas firs surrounding the place, broad shoulders under a faded gray Henley, jeans worn soft at the knees, and a jawline shadowed with just enough stubble to make you wonder what it felt like. His hair was salt and pepper, curling at the nape of his neck, and his eyes, Christ, those eyes were the color of storm clouds over the Pacific, sharp and seeing right through you. He shook my hand firm, calluses rough against my palm, and said, "Adams told me about you, kid. Welcome to the madhouse." His smile was easy, but there was a flicker in it, something guarded, like a door cracked just enough to let in light. The cabin was a relic, log walls stained dark with age, a stone fireplace that smelled of pine smoke and regret, and a kitchen where Adam's mom, Linda, bustled with pots of chili and cornbread. His dad, Tom, was the quiet type, nursing a whiskey by the window, eyes on the lake like it held all the answers. Dinner was loud. Adam recounting his latest failed Tinder date, Linda teasing about grandkids, Tom grunting approvals. Nathaniel sat across from me, knees brushing mine under the table once, twice, accidental-like. Or maybe not. I caught him watching me over his beer bottle, that gaze lingering a beat too long, and heat crawled up my neck. I'd known I was gay since I was 16, fumbling through crushes on the swim team captain, but coming out in Astoria, that was a one-way ticket to whispers and side-eyes. I kept it buried, like driftwood under the tide. Saturday blurred into lazy chaos. Horseshoes in the yard, a bonfire where Adam blasted Springsteen until the neighbors hollered, and me stealing glances at Nathaniel as he split firewood, axe swinging with a rhythm that made my throat dry. He was married once, Adam told me later, passed around a joint by the fire, divorced 5 years back, no kids, runs a small contracting firm in Portland. Uncle Nate's the strong, silent type, Adam slurred, poking the embers. But he's got layers, man. Deep ones. I nodded, staring into the flames, wondering what those layers hid. Sunday morning, the real hook sank in. Adam groaned over coffee, nursing a hangover from hell. You and Uncle Nate go fishing without me. I'll just die here gloriously. Linda shooed us out with a thermos and sandwiches, her eyes twinkling like she knew something we didn't. Nathaniel loaded the old aluminum skiff onto his truck bed, muscles flexing under his flannel, and I followed like a moth to a porch light. The drive to the put-in was quiet. NPR murmuring about wildfires in California, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and possibility. We launched into the mist-shrouded water, the lake a mirror of grays and silvers, ringed by volcanic peaks that loomed like ancient sentinels. Nathaniel rowed us out, strokes sure and powerful, until we drifted in a cove where the world felt a million miles from Astoria's salt-weathered piers. He handed me a rod, his fingers grazing mine, electric, accidental, and showed me the lure, a silver spinner glinting like forbidden promise. It's about patience, he said, voice gravelly from sleep. Waiting for the tug that changes everything. We cast in silence at first, lines arcing graceful over the water. A loon called, eerie and lonely, and I felt it then, that pull, not from some trout in the depths, but from the man beside me. He talked in fits and starts about growing up in a logging camp, the crack of his father's belt when he brought home a report card with C's, the wife who'd left because he was too busy building walls instead of tearing them down. His laugh was rueful, self-deprecating, and it cracked something in me. I shared scraps, my mom's endless string of boyfriends, the night I drove to the cliffs overlooking the Columbia just to scream into the wind. By noon, we'd caught 3 rainbows, their scales flashing iridescent as Nathaniel unhooked them, careful not to bruise the flesh. Lunch was turkey on rye, eaten cross-legged in the boat, knees touching now without apology. You're not like Adam's other friends, he said suddenly, wiping mustard from his lip with the back of his hand. You've got eyes that see too much, my pulse thrummed. And you've got hands that build things, I replied, nodding at the calluses. He looked at me then, really looked, and the air between us thickened, charged like the moment before thunder. We didn't kiss that day. Not yet. But as the sun climbed, burning off the fog, Nathaniel leaned back against the gunwale, hat tipped low, and told me about the scar on his forearm, a jagged white line from a chainsaw kickback. Reminds me life's got teeth, he murmured. I traced it with my eyes, imagining my fingers there instead, and felt the first real tug. When we rowed back to shore, the world felt tilted, off-kilter, like the lake had rewritten the rules. That night, back at the cabin, Adam was miraculously revived, challenging us to cards and beers. Nathaniel sat beside me on the sagging couch, thigh pressed warm against mine, his laughter a low vibration I felt in my bones. Linda caught my eye once, her smile soft and knowing, but Tom just stared into his glass. As the fire died to embers, Nathaniel's hand brushed my knee under the blanket, deliberate this time, and whispered, "Meet me at dawn tomorrow." One more cast. I nodded, heart slamming, because whatever line we'd thrown, it was hooked deep now. Dawn broke bloody over the lake, streaks of crimson bleeding into the indigo, as if the sky itself was warning us to reel it in. I slipped from the cabin like a thief, boots silent on the dew-slick grass, pulse a war drum in my ears. Nathaniel waited by the truck, silhouette sharp against the fading stars, a thermos steaming in his grip. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked, handing me a mug of black coffee, our fingers lingering in the exchange. Dreamed of lures that wouldn't let go, I admitted, and his chuckle was a spark in the chill air. We launched without words this time, the skiff cutting through glassy water like a secret. The cove welcomed us back, pines whispering conspiracies to the wind. Lines flew, mine snagging weeds, his arcing true, and soon the silence shattered with stories. He confessed the divorce in fragments. Her name was Claire, a teacher with laugh lines and dreams of kids. He'd loved her in that young, desperate way, but the bed stayed cold, the touches perfunctory. I thought it was me, he said, reeling slow, muscles coiling under his shirt. Too broken for the fix, my cast faltered, line tangling. Or maybe just not the right fit, I offered, voice barely above the lap of waves. The fish weren't biting, but something else was rising. We drifted closer, boat rocking gentle, until his knee nudged mine again, intentional, insistent. Tell me about you, Adam's shadow, he said, eyes tracing my face like blueprints. I spilled it all. The crushes hidden in locker room glances, the grinder hookups that left me hollow, the fear that in a town like this, love was just another ghost story. A story chews up queers and spits out rumors, I finished, staring at the lure-bobbing idol. Nathaniel's hand found my shoulder then, heavy and anchoring. Not all ghosts stay buried. We ate lunch on a rocky outcrop, pulling the skiff ashore, backs against sun-warmed stone. Sandwiches forgotten, he pulled a flask from his pack. Good bourbon, smooth as sin, and we passed it, lips burning. His stories turned raw. A college fling with a roommate in Eugene, fumbling and fervent under wool blankets. The shame that followed, a father's Bible-thumping sermons echoing in his skull. I built walls after that, he said, voice cracking like dry timber. High ones. But you're climbing them, kid. I met his gaze, urban bold. Call me Eli. And maybe I'm just looking for the door. The kiss came like a storm, sudden, inevitable. One moment we were talking, the next his hand cupped my jaw, thumb rough on my stubble, pulling me in. His mouth was warm, tasting of bourbon and lake wind, mustache tickling as our lips parted. I melted into it, fingers knotting in his shirt, the world narrowing to the scrape of his teeth, the groan low in his throat. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, his breath ragged. Jesus, Eli, he murmured. What the hell are we doing? Living? I whispered back, and kissed him again, slower, deeper, hands mapping the planes of his chest. We didn't go all the way that day, too exposed, too new, but the boat ride back was torture, every brush of arm on arm a live wire. At the dock, he gripped my wrist, ice fierce. This stays between us. For now, I nodded, understanding the stakes. Adam's family, the town, the man Nathaniel was before this tug. But as I watched him drive away, truck kicking gravel, I felt alive, electric, like I'd swallowed the sun. Back at the cabin, normalcy was a thin veil. Adam slapped my back, crowing about missing the epic haul, oblivious. Linda's eyes lingered, though, as she pressed pie into my hands. Apple, lattice crust like woven promises. Nate's a good man, she said softly. But he carries heavy. Tom grunted from his chair, newspaper rustling, but said nothing. Dinner was strained for me, every laugh forced. Nathaniel's foot hooking mine under the table, a secret Morse code. That night, sleep evaded me. The cabin creaked like old bones, wind rattling windows, and I lay staring at shadows, replaying the kiss, the way his tongue had traced mine, tentative then claiming. By midnight, couldn't take it. Slipping into jeans and a hoodie, I padded to the porch, air crisp with pine and regret. The lake gleamed under a half moon, calling. Footsteps crunched behind me. Nathaniel, in boxers and a thermal, hair tousled. Knew you'd be out here, he said, settling beside me on the steps, arm draping casual over my shoulders. We talked till the sky lightened, about fears, futures, the what-ifs that gnawed like minnows. I've got a life in Portland, he admitted. Expects straight lines. You know, I leaned into him, head on his shoulder. And I've got nothing holding me but ghosts, his fingers threaded through my hair, tugging gentle. Then let's make some new ones. Dawn found us tangled on the porch swing, kisses lazy and deep, his hands under my shirt exploring scars I didn't know I had. Adam's truck rumbled up the drive too soon, shattering the spell. Rise and shine. Lovebirds, wait. What? He froze, eyes wide on us disentangling, faces flushed. The air went thick as fog. Nathaniel stood smooth, clapping Adam on the back. Just talking shop, nephew. Eli's got ideas for the cabin reno. Adam blinked, suspicion flickering, but bought it for now. Weirdos, he muttered, heading inside. But the seed was planted, doubt in his grin, and as we packed for the drive home, I felt the line strain, the first real pull toward breaking. Portland welcomed me back with rain-slick streets and neon buzz, but the cabin lingered like a bruise. Texts from Nathaniel started that week. Innocent at first, caught a steelhead today. Thought of you, then bolder. Missed that mouth of yours. I replied in kind. Nights blurring into fevered FaceTimes. His voice husky over the line, describing what he'd do if the miles weren't there. Adam, though, grew distant, calls shorter, excuses piling. Heard you two got cozy, he texted finally. Emoji knife emoji heart. Uncle Nate? Really? Eli? Guilt twisted like a gut hook. I met Adam at our bar, the Rusty Anchor's jukebox crooning Johnny Cash. It's new, I said, nursing a pint. Real. He stared into his glass, jaw tight. He's family, man. And he's complicated. Dad hates that he's alone, but Mom says he broke Claire's heart chasing shadows. Shadows. The word hung, and I pressed, what shadows? Adam shrugged, evasive. Just be careful. Nate's got a way of reeling you in, then cutting the line. The warning echoed when Nathaniel drove down that Friday, truck loaded with takeout Thai and a bottle of Pinot. My studio apartment was a shoebox, posters peeling, bed unmade, but he made it a haven, hands pinning me to the door before the key even turned. We tumbled through the night, clothes shedding like old skin, his body heavy and sure over mine. Scars mapped his ribs from logging mishaps, and I kissed each one, tasting salt and stories. You're undoing me, he gasped as I took him in hand, slow and deliberate, our rhythms sinking like oars in still water. Afterward, tangled in sheets, he traced my collarbone. This scares the shit out of me. Eli, we built a rhythm those fall weeks. Weekends stolen in Portland's fog-shrouded hills, Hikes through Forest Park where leaves crunched underfoot like whispered vows. Dinners at hole-in-the-wall faux joints where his knee pressed mine under formica tops. Nathaniel opened like a locked boathouse. The boy who dreamed of art school, sketching salmon runs in charcoal. The man who'd buried it under blueprints and bids. "You make me want to draw again," he said one night, pencil scratching vellum in my lap, my fingers in his hair. I showed him my designs, logos for local breweries, abstracts born of insomnia, and he saw the soul in them, the ache. But cracks spiderwebbed. Adam's texts turned icy. "Family dinner next month. Don't bring drama," Linda called me once, voice warm but edged. Nate's smiling more. "Eli, that's on you." But Tom's asking questions. Nathaniel brushed it off over coffee at Tin Shed, his hand squeezing mine under the table. "They'll come around. Or they won't. This is us." The word bloomed, fragile as lake ice. November brought storms, rain lashing windows like accusations. We holed up in his bungalow on the east side, craftsman charm hiding a life half-lived. Photos of Claire on the mantel. Dust gathered. A closet of flannel and denial. One night, post-love haze, he pulled a box from under the bed, letters, yellowed, addressed to Nate in looping script. "High school," he explained, voice tight. "My first love." He moved to Seattle, joined the Marines. Died in Fallujah. The words hung. Raw. I held him as he wept, body shaking, grief a tide we'd never outrun. "I built walls after that too," he whispered. Afraid to lose again. I understood loss. My dad, trucker, vanished in a Wyoming blizzard when I was 10, leaving Mom to string beads and boyfriends. "Love's a risk," I said, kissing his temple. "But the alternative's just drifting." He nodded, but shadows lingered in his eyes, hints of the boy who'd learned to hide. The betrayal brewed slow, like a Nor'wester. Adam cornered me at the bar mid-December, face flushed from shots. "Saw you with him at Powell's. Holding hands like idiots." I froze, pint halfway to lips. "It's not bullshit," he snapped. "Uncle Nate's straight edge to the family. Dad'll disown him. And me? I'm the idiot who brought you in." Hurt flashed. His jealousy? Fear? "This isn't about you," I said. He laughed bitter. "Everything's about family, Eli. You don't get it." I told Nathaniel that night, curled on his couch, fire crackling. He sighed, rubbing temples. "Adam's always been the golden boy, protecting the Hayes name." But doubt crept, his phone buzzed constant, work calls laced with evasion. One slipped. "Yeah, Claire. Tell Tom I'll handle the holidays." "Claire." My stomach nodded. "X?" I asked later, casual. He nodded, too quick. "Just logistics. Cabin stuff." Holidays loomed like a squall. Adam's invite arrived terse. Family only. No plus ones. Nathaniel went alone, kissing me goodbye in the pre-dawn gloom. Back by New Year's. Promise. The week stretched eternal. Shifts at the bar blurring into numbness. Texts from him sparse. "Miss you." Turkeys dry as hell. Then silence. Night. I rang in alone with a bottle of his bourbon. Fireworks over the Willamette mocking my vigil. He returned January 2nd, hollow-eyed, duffel thudding to my floor. "Rough?" I asked, arms open. He collapsed into them, but his kiss was distracted, tasting of mint over regret. Family drama, he muttered. Claire showed. Stirred shit. My radar pinged. Stirred how? He pulled away, pacing. Old wounds. Eli. Nothing new. But his phone lit up. Claire's name, and he silenced it, guilty flick in his jaw. The lie festered. I confronted him a week later, after a contracting job ran late, him stumbling in at midnight. Cologne fresh. I ask you. Where were you? Client dinner. The words rang false. I grabbed his phone when he showered, passcode his birthday, easy and scrolled. Texts from Claire. Intimate. Can't stop thinking about Vale. Us. His reply, me too. But Eli. Betrayal hit like a rogue wave. Chest caving. He emerged towel-clad, saw my face, and froze. You snooped. You lied. The dam broke. Words tumbling. The logistics. The silences. The way he'd flinch at my touch some nights. Is this a phase? A midlife itch? He deflated, sinking to the bed. Claire and I. We're talking reconciliation. For the family. Tom pushed. Said it's time to man up. Man up. The phrase curdled. And me? The dirty secret. Tears burned. He reached, but I jerked back. Eli. I love. Don't. Just don't. He left at dawn. Truck roaring into rain, leaving silence thicker than fog. I called Adam, voice cracking. Your uncle's a coward. Adam's laugh was hollow. Welcome to the club, man. But hey, at least now you know. Portland winter nod. Gray skies. Gray heart. I threw myself into work. Designs for a queer bookstore downtown. Bold colors masking the bleed. Friends dragged me to drag shows at Aura. Glitter and Gaga a temporary bomb. But nights ended alone. Replaying his touch. The betrayal a hook lodged deep. One February storm. Power out. I drove to the coast. Astoria's cliffs. Waves crashing like fury. Stood at the edge. Wind whipping. Tempted to let it all go. But his voice echoed. Life's got teeth. I turned back. Spring thawed slow. Nathaniel's texts came sporadic. I'm sorry. Thinking of the lake. I deleted them unread. But the ache lingered. A phantom limb. Adam reconciled first. Beers at the anchor. Apology gruff. I should have warned you proper. Nate's messed up. But you're gold. We hugged awkward. Brothers again. But the scar remained. Then, May his truck in my lot. Engine ticking cool. He waited on the stoop. Older somehow. Lines etched deeper. Can we talk? Rain pattered soft. I let him in. Walls high. Coffee brewed black. We sat at my table, him unfolding. Raw. Claire and I tried. 3 months. But it's Ash. Eli. I told her about you. About us. My pulse stuttered. And she understood. More than me. He slid a sketch across. Charcoal on vellum. Me by the lake. Eyes alive. I choose you. If you'll have me. Doubt warred with want. Why now? His hand covered mine. Steady. Because losing you taught me, walls don't keep out the storm. They just drown you inside. I searched his eyes, storm clouds clearing, and leaned in, lips brushing tentative. The kiss rebuilt us, slow and sure, forgiveness a current pulling us under. Summer returned, tentative, the Willamette swelling with meltwater as we rebuilt. Dates in daylight now, his hand in mine at Saturday markets. Farmers hawking heirloom tomatoes and secrets. Nathaniel integrated slow. Dinners with my mom in her Beaverton bungalow. Her eyes twinkling over pot roast as he charmed with tales of misadventured builds. "You're good for him," she whispered later, hugging me fierce. "Don't let go." Adam came around fully at Pride. Portland streets a riot of rainbows and bass-thumping floats. We marched together, Nathaniel's arm around my waist, Adam whooping beside us with a sign. "Love wins, bitches." Tom's absence stung. Gruff voicemail. "Not my circus." But Linda showed. Rainbow scarf fluttering. Tears in her eyes as she pulled Nathaniel close. "Proud of you, baby brother." The photo we took, 4 of us grinning under the Morrison Bridge, became his wallet staple, creased from carry. But conflict simmered beneath the idol. Nathaniel's firm hit a boom. Eco builds for tech bros fleeing the valley, and nights stretched long. Him coming home bone-tired, bourbon calling. I'd wake to empty sheets, find him on the porch sketching ghosts. A soldier's face, blurred. A wedding band, discarded. "Old habits," he'd mutter, pulling me back to bed, body seeking solace in mine. Our lovemaking shifted, fiercer some nights, as if to banish shadows, tender others, hands lingering like prayers. The real storm hit Labor Day, cabin reunion looming. "Full family," Adam texted, emoji thumbs up. Nathaniel tensed over packing, flannel shirts folded precise. "Tom'll be there." Claire too, cordial now, my gut twisted. "You sure?" He cupped my face, kiss grounding. "We're solid." I told them Eli's family, but doubt nipped his silences, the way he'd check his phone mid-conversation. Crater Lake shimmered welcoming, peaks dusted early snow, but the air crackled. Linda hugged us tight, whispering, "He's trying." Tom nodded stiff from his rocker, eyes avoiding. Claire arrived dusk, elegant in linen, her smile polite as she shook my hand. Cool, praising. Nathaniel speaks highly. Dinner was a minefield. Tom's barbs about modern nonsense. Adam deflecting with jokes. Linda's forced cheer. Nathaniel's knee pressed mine under the table. Anchor. But when Tom cornered him by the fire, "This phase'll pass, son." Claire's waiting. I heard the fracture. I stepped out for air. Lake calling. But Claire followed, heels clicking dockward. "He's scared," she said, voice soft over the water's lap. "Of losing the only family he's got. But he loves you, Eli. Deeper than he ever loved me." Her eyes held no venom, regret, maybe. "Don't let him build those walls again." I nodded, throat tight, but inside, the hook tore. That night, in the guest room, our room, Nathaniel came to me shaken, Tom's words echoing. He said I'm selfish. Dragging the name through mud, I pulled him down, hands roaming familiar paths, but his body was rigid, mind elsewhere. "You're not," I murmured against his neck, lips trailing fire. "You're brave." He yielded slow, groans muffled in pillow, but climax came hollow, aftershocks laced with silence. Morning brought the blow. Adam burst in post-breakfast, face ashen. Dad found the sketches. The ones of you two. Nathaniel's charcoal nudes. Intimate, raw, stolen from his truck. Tom's rifling evident. Confrontation erupted in the yard. Tom red-faced, Bible in hand, hurling scripture like stones. Abomination! My brother's blood on your hands. Nathaniel stood tall, voice steady. Love's not sin, Tom. It's salvation. But the punch landed. Tom's fist glancing his jaw, blood welling. Adam pulled his dad back, horror-struck. Stop. This is family. Claire mediated, voice calm. Enough. Let them be. But damage bloomed, Nathaniel's eye swelling, spirit bruised deeper. We fled that afternoon, skiff abandoned, truck eating miles. Silence reigned till Portland's lights flickered welcome. I'm done, he said finally, knuckles white on wheel. With them. With hiding, I squeezed his thigh. Then let's build our own, fall deepen the rift. Adam called weekly apologies, updates. Tom unyielding, heart attack scare mid-October forcing perspective. But pride a stubborn weed. Linda visited secret, bearing pie and tears. Give him time. Nathaniel dove into therapy, queer affirming in the Pearl, unpacking closets long shuttered. I joined sometimes, holding his hand as words spilled. The Marine's death, the internalized hate, the fear love was finite. Our love flowered resilient, Thanksgiving for two, turkey charred but laughter-free, Christmas sketching by firelight, his lines tracing my spine. But climax crested New Year's, eve of our first full year. A call from Adam, Dad's dying. Liver. Come home. Nathaniel wavered, eyes storm-dark. I can't face him like this. I held him through the night, body his harbor. You can. For you, the drive to Astoria was funeral procession, rain relentless, wipers slashing tears. Hospital smelled of bleach and regret. Tom skeletal in bed, monitors beeping dirge. His eyes met Nathaniel's, then mine, softening fraction. Son, he rasped. I was wrong. Scared, Nathaniel knelt, hand in his father's frail one. I know, Dad. I forgive. Tom's gaze shifted to me. Take care of him. Boy, the words mended, threadbare but true. Tom passed on, lake visible from window, silver under first light. Funeral was small, dockside, ashes scattered where we'd fished. Adam hugged us fierce. Family's what we make. Claire toasted later, wineglass raised. To new lines, spring 2026 bloomed forgiveness. Green shoots piercing winter's crust, mirroring the haze thaw. Adam moved to Portland, crashing our couch till a sublet. Nights filled with board games and bourbon confessions. I was jealous, he admitted over Monopoly, hotels toppling. Of your guts. My turn now, bartending schools calling. Linda visited monthly, recipes exchanged for sketches, her pride a bomb. You're his light. Eli. Nathaniel's firm pivoted, queer-owned builds, tiny homes for unhoused youth in Old Town, his hands shaping sanctuary. I landed a gig at the bookstore, designing covers that sang, rainbows woven into noir spines, love unapologetic. Our bungalow expanded, loft studio where he drew me mornings, light slanting gold, my body canvas for his gaze. Lovemaking evolved, mornings lazy, coffee-scented, nights urgent, reclaiming after long days. You're my north, he'd murmur, buried deep, rhythms sinking like lake waves. But humanism's core is imperfection, scars that twinge in rain. Nathaniel's doubts resurfaced summer, a client ugly mugging at a site, slurs hurled like rebar. He came home shaking, knuckles split. Thought I was past this. I cleaned wounds with witch hazel, kissed bruises. You're human. That's the beauty. Therapy deepened, his sketches turning outward portraits of us. Adam, even Tom ethereal by water. An exhibit in July, Reels and Revelations, gallery buzzing, sales funding a youth art camp. Critics called it raw Americana, but to me, it was him vulnerable, vast. Climax revisited autumn, anniversary trip to the cabin, ours now. Keys handed post Linda's nudge. Crater Lake mirrored autumn blaze, aspens aflame. We fished at dawn, lines arcing tandem, but the tug came different. Nathaniel reeling slow, then dropping rod, turning to me. Marry me, Eli. The words hung, simple as a spinner lure. My heart seized, joy, terror. Here? Now? He knelt on damp dock, ring cedar boxed, engraved, hooked forever, tears blurred peaks. Yes. God. Yes. Wedding was intimate dockside, October chill nipping, Adam officiating with vows cribbed from Springsteen lyrics. Linda teary, Claire toasting with cider. To loves that endure, rings exchanged, simple silver bands etched with trout scales, sealing us. Reception bonfire roast, esmores and stories, Adam crowing toasts till stars wheeled. Winter tested anew, my mom's cancer diagnosis, stage 3, chemo a gauntlet. Nathaniel drove shuttles to OHSU, holding her hand when I faltered, his strength my spine. We're in this, he'd say, nights cradling me through sobs. She rallied spring, remission a miracle, joining us for brunch, her laugh, his jokes, our hands linked under table. Years layered like lake silt. By 28, Adam bartended at Aura, dating a barista named Jax, wedding vows we'd echo, family circle widening. Nathaniel's camp thrived, kids sketching dreams uncloseted. My designs graced billboards, queer icons bold. We adopted Milo, a mutt from the shelter, lanky, loyal, chasing sticks at the lake. Betrayals echo faded, but lessons lingered. Love's not linear, a cast and reel, tugs and releases. One eve, porch swing creaking, Milo snoring, Nathaniel's head in my lap. I traced his scar. Regrets, he smiled, eyes lake deep. None. You, I kissed his temple. Just grateful for the bite, as fog rolled in, lake whispering. I knew we'd hooked something eternal, not perfect, but profoundly human. In America's heartlands or hidden coves, love endures, dramatic, emotional, romantic, teeth and all.